in,
I think mine's in my locker. Can I get it?
It might be.
it comes up a lot in calculus, actually. So it is a useful calculation. It has a lot of different meanings. But what we're looking at is just making sure we can handle the function aspect of it, how to evaluate this type of thing. So if I were to put this on test or quiz, I am not going to say evaluate the difference quotient and expect you to remember this whole thing. I would give this to you as an ABC question. So I would say part A, find f of x plus h. So what does it mean if I ask for f of x plus h?
Plug in x plus h and
Right. It said, if I said f of 3, you would plug a 3 in for your x. If I say f of x plus h, we're going to plug x plus h in. So let's try that on an example. So my function is 2x minus 3. So part A, I want f of x plus h. So that means we go to this function, we replace the x value with the x plus h.
Is it like composite?
Not yet.
But it seems like.
So then if we distribute, we get 2x plus 2h minus 3.
But what did you get? What did you get out of that?
Nothing yet. It's the final calculation that has to be. So that's our answer to part A. Part B, I would say find f of x plus h minus f of x. So f of x plus h, we just got in part A. So I can just carry that down. Here's f of x plus h. 2x plus 2h minus 3. Minus f of x is the original function, which was 2x minus 3. So I took my answer to part A, and then it said I had to subtract off f of x, which is just the original function. Now what am I going to do with this? Okay, we want to simplify it if we can. So we can distribute this negative. And then, what happens?
You only get 2h.
Okay, positive 2x and negative 2x would cancel. Positive 3 and negative 3 would cancel. And we're just left with the 2h.
So you put that at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Divide by 2h. Ah, snap, man.
So, part C.
Wait, no, it'd be 2h divided by 8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it'd be h.
All that work to get one answer.
you mean 2.
It could be 2.
So, f of x plus h minus f of x, that's what we just worked out. We got 2h divided by h. Those h's cancel and give us a 2.
The workload is crazy.
Hmm?
The workload is crazy.
I can do fairly nice functions. Some of them, they could be pretty nasty. However, we're just making sure we can evaluate functions, so I'm not going to give you anything too awful. All right,
I love it.
questions on that?
Pie looks fire.
Yeah, that was. That's fine.
Looks fire.
Let's do the same thing
The
again.
Almighty pasta is crazy.
All right, so f of x plus h says you go to your equation, you replace the x with x plus h. All right, this one is a little bit nastier because I have to do x plus h squared. How do you do x plus h squared? FOIL.
Oh.
So if you think x plus h times x plus h, you get x squared plus xh plus xh would be 2xh. H times h is h squared. Alright, and from there,
Now that is true.
distribute the negative 2. Part A is always going to be the longest part. After part A, it will just kind of get nicer each step. Okay. Oops, part B, I have a typo. That should say f of x plus h minus f of x. Sorry about that. So f of x plus h we just worked out. Minus, what is f of x? Okay. So when I look at this, if I distribute that negative, makes it a positive. Negative 2x squared and positive 2x squared cancel out. So we get negative 4xh minus 2h squared. All right. Part C is the answer we just got. Divided by h. So we have to reduce an h out of everything. And that would be our final answer. Okay, so a little bit of a longer process, but like I said, it would be broken into a 3-step problem, part A, B, and C. And it's really what I'm looking for is, can you evaluate functions? Can you simplify?
You can do it. Why is that at May 25th?
That's the date I edited the slides.
Tell them last year.
5 o'clock?
You was jumping all over. March 16th,
There.
January 9th.
A little bit of everything. Gotta keep you on your toes. Okay. Should we do one more? This one? All right, here. I'm going to change it. Make it negative 2x plus 4 and try it on your own.
Alright.
Where are your guys?
Okay. So, if we are evaluating this, we are replacing the x with whatever we put in. So if we put in x plus h, we get negative 2x minus 2h plus 4. So part B is f of x plus h, so what we just got, minus f of x, so the original was negative 2x plus 4. Distribute the negative. Negative 2x and positive 2x cancel. Positive 4 and negative 4 cancel. And we get negative 2h. Then part C is what we just got out. So negative 2h divided by h, which gives us negative 2. Is that okay? Let's look at this. The next thing we're going to talk about is compositions. So they can be written a few different ways. You might see with this little circle in the middle, or you might see it with parentheses. So let's ignore the domain piece for this right now. We'll come back to that later. But when you do a composition, you're basically starting on the inside. So you're going to start with the g of x in this case and plug that into f. So we're going to practice this. We'll do some with numbers and some with variables just to make sure we can understand how to work through that. So if I have the function f of x is 2x squared minus 3, g of x is 4x. So if I asked you to do f composed with g of 1, so that means f of g of 1. Okay, it doesn't matter which way you write it. What would we do first?
Plug in 1 for x and 4x.
You take the 1 and you're going to plug it into g. So if I put a 1 in there, 4 times 1 is just 4. So that whole inside piece gets changed to a 4.
You just plug it in for.
Yep, so now we go to f and we plug in a 4 for that x. So 4 squared is 16, times 2 is 32, minus 3 is 29. How is b different?
You're putting F in the G.
Okay, I switched the order. This one means you have to start with f. So if I plug a 1 into f, first of all, so 2 times 1 squared minus 3, so 1 squared is 1, so 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So then I have g of negative 1, so if I put a negative 1 into g, I get negative 4. So I did these intentionally to show you order does matter. I got 2 very different answers depending on which one I put it into first. So make sure you're paying attention to that. You always start on the inside. Do you guys remember doing these?
Yeah.
Okay. We do not have to plug them into different functions. So if you look at the next one, f composed with f of negative 2, I'm asking you to put it into the same one twice. So we have to start with f of negative 2. If you put a negative 2 into f, what do you get out? 5. Negative 2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8, minus 3 is 5. And then I put a 5 back into f. So 5 squared is 25, so times 2 is 50, minus 3, 47.
This seemed a lot easier.
Good. All right, last one like this. G composed with g of negative 1. If you put a negative 1 into g, what do you get out?
Negative 4.
And then if I put a negative 4 into g,
Negative 16. Look in my eyes. Is this the day we get the other hand out? I haven't even started my math exam.
okay. So this one, what did I change?
You put another one in there.
I put another one in there. A composition can keep going on and on. There's no rule that says you can only do it twice. It's the same idea.
It's just how we
You
want it.
start on the inside. So I have to first figure out what h of 1 is.
4.
So if I put a 1 into h, 5 minus 1 is 4. So that h of 1 turned into a 4.
20.
Now we're doing g of 4. So if you put a 4 into g,
And then negative 97.
4 squared is 16, plus 4 is 20. Then if I put a 20 into f,
You take 90s for them.
Negative 4 times 20 is 100.
It's
No,
negative
you can't.
plus
Whoa.
3 is negative 77.
Negative 77.
You guys do b.
That's Coop right there.
Coop is not negative 77, bro. He's definitely positive.
Okay, so let's talk about notation. You guys are getting the right answer, but the way you're writing it is a little scary. So we're taking this inside part, g of 0, and that's what we are evaluating first. So we still have the h of f, but I'm replacing g of 0. When you plug a 0 into g, what do you get out? 0. So now we're working our way out. So now we have f of 0. So the h stays, but what is f of 0? If you go to f and plug in a 0, you get 3. So then we have h of 3. So if I plug a 3 into h, 5 minus 3 is 2.
Dos.
All right.
Dos.
Is that all right?
Let's see.
Okay, we're going to do just a few more things.
I remember doing this last year and everyone being like, is that fog?
Yes, fog and goth. Yes.
Oh,
Okay, how did I change it this time?
put them all together.
You
Or you just wrote it differently.
I
use
didn't.
variables.
I wrote it differently,
That
and
makes
I
sense.
left it with an X. I did not give you a number. So that means you're not getting a number for your answer, you're getting an expression. So if you're not comfortable with this notation, you can change it to parentheses. So when I look at this, we have to start with g of x. Okay, I'm not plugging a number into g. So what is g of x?
X squared plus 1.
Oh.
That can.
I thought you put another X in.
I mean, it's basically just saying replace the x with an x, so you get the same thing back.
Yeah, word.
Okay, so now I have to put this into f. So f is 3 minus whatever we're plugging in.
So.
And I'm plugging in
2 minus
x squared plus 1.
2 minus x.
Distribute your negative.
Distribute the negative, add like terms. So we get 2 minus x squared.
Oh yeah. Hector.
Okay, so maybe a little less pretty since you're not getting actual numbers, but it's the same idea. You start on the inside, you get that answer, you plug it into the next one, and we work forward like that.
Let's see.
So g composed with h. So that means g of h of x. You start on the inside. So we're starting with h of x. What is h of x?
2x
X
minus
minus
3.
3.
Make sure you're paying attention, guys. So now I am plugging that into g. So g is whatever you plug in squared plus 1. And I'm plugging in 2x minus 3. I do not want to leave it like this, so what do I need to do? FOIL. So we get 4x squared minus 6x minus 6x plus 9. And then we still have that plus 1 on the end. So add like terms. And we get 4x squared minus 12x plus 10. Okay, you guys do C. You can do it in the margin.
Tuna bean
You
casserole.
can get out a separate sheet of paper if you need to. So we have h of f of x. So you start on the inside, so f of x was 3 minus x. You plug that into h. So h is 2 times whatever you put in minus 3. So we're putting in the 3 minus x. Distribute. Add like terms, so you get 3 minus 2x or negative 2x plus 3. All right. Is that one okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a couple last examples, but these are fast. These are fast. I told you we had a couple more
You
things
said
to
a few
do.
more. We just did 3. A few was 3.
A few
A
more.
couple is 2. A few is 3.
Yeah,
If I meant 3, I would have said 3.
Alright, let's
A
knock
few
it out.
is leaving some room for empty
Go
queue.
crazy.
Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to skip this one. I want to go to this one.
I just started writing.
I mean, you can do it. I don't care. But I just walked around and we did pretty well with that. So
Oh, you know what? We go on.
I am asking you to work backwards here. Okay? So I want you to find two functions so that f composed with g equals h. So what that means is when I do f of g of x, I got this for my answer. I want to know what the original f and g were. So let's think about this. When we work through them, g is my inside function. What's on the inside over here?
X squared plus 1.
All right, so that'll work for my g of x. There are sometimes multiple correct answers on this one, but this is probably the easiest way. Your inside is my g. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so think about what happens when we do a composition. We go in and we replace x with the thing we're plugging in, right? So if we're going in reverse, I have to think this replaced my x. So if I switch that back to an x, what are you left with?
X to the 50th power.
X to the 50th power for my f. And that's it. I want to try just a couple more along those lines and make sure you can visualize it. Sometimes it takes people. I'll do one with you, and then you'll do one, and then I'm done.
So 2.
Which is a couple.
So f of g of x is equal to 1 over x plus 1. So I don't have any parentheses written here, so it may not be quite as obvious to you. G is the inside. Think about it, if I plug in a 4, what am I going to do first?
The bottom.
If I put a 4 in for my x, what would you do first? You would add the 1, right? So my inside is really my denominator here. So my g of x is x plus 1. So f, if you work backwards, if you take that x plus 1 out and switch it back to an x, what are you left with?
X over
1 over x.
1 over X.
1 over x.
Oh my god.
And you guys try the next one. So our g is the inside, which is 2x plus 3. If you take that out and switch it back to an x, you have x to the 4th. Okay, so Wednesday, last time I saw you, I did open a Math Excel assignment. I told you that was for the whole section. We are still not done with this section. So I will finish this section tomorrow. So that Math Excel is going to be due on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
For today, I have posted a handout on Classroom that is only dealing with this composition stuff. That is due tomorrow.
Are we
So-
getting the handout tomorrow?
No.
So I imagine celebration is tomorrow.
Yeah. So, work on the handout